Hello there, grumpy old fart here. Um, I've been playing D&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, for a really, really long time, and somebody asked me the other day if people ever enjoy drinking while they play, and while I have a beer once in a while. Back in my younger days, I liked to drink a lot, and I I have been known to play D&D while I was drinking. So I haven't done that in a long time, and there's a reason. You make bad decisions when you're drunk, and I don't run games drunk. I've never run a game drunk, and I have had players try to play in my game while they were drunk, and it gets it can get a little hectic, and a lot of times it's amusing. Now, back in the day, years ago, Dungeons and Dragons got a bad rap because there were people, as I understand it, they were doing some hard drugs, cocaine, and they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and bad things happened, But it's been my experience that if somebody was to do cocaine and do anything in any kind of a game, bad things are going to happen. Cocaine doesn't mix well with anything. It's just not good. But that's a lot where a lot of where D&D gets its bad rap, and it's not a bad game. It's a fun game. It's just for fun. The whole point is to sit around with your friends. It's a social event, and it's just fun. So funny things do tend to happen while you play Dungeons and Dragons if you're drinking. Now, you get the odd argument here and there, of course, but that's from everyone. Most D&D players are pretty decent drunks. They're kind of funny. I do not recommend drinking while you play Dungeons and Dragons. It doesn't mix well. You make bad decisions, and then later on you have to come back and fix what you did with your character because it doesn't work out well. Over the years, I've had a lot of funny stories with people drinking and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I figured I'd share a few of those. Several years back, there were two guys. And I don't know the song. I don't think I've ever heard the song, at least not the whole thing all the way through, and I don't want to. The refrain for the song was, "'Cause I was high," and these two guys showed up, and they were best friends, and they were drinking, and they were playing in the game, and I warned them, and I said, okay, but now, we're actually sitting to play the game. We're getting into the serious part of the dungeon, so you have to pay attention. And they were like, okay, no problem. So we're playing, and I would go through around the group, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And every time I'd get to them, we're getting high, because of that song. They were emulating that song, and they were drinking, and they were just horsing around. Well, the problem was the rest of the group was there to play. And we'd go around to the group again. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And get to them. Oh, we're getting high. Okay, fine. I went on. Get back around to them. Oh, we're getting high. Every single time. And they actually got into a battle with a pretty hefty bad guy. I want to say it was a black dragon. And this was an intelligent black dragon with spell capabilities and all kinds of nasty stuff. It's a pretty high level campaign. And their characters, when they actually went into combat, got all these minuses. And they were like, I don't understand why we have all these minuses. We didn't have these minuses before. I said, well, you weren't high before. What? Every time I went around to you, your characters were getting high. Every single time. Well, guess what? That's what happens. Stoned people do not make good combatants. I don't care who you are. Years ago, I had moved to a new city, and I had a game going, 8 or 10 players, and I had moved into I was staying with a friend, and I had moved into a new place, and we were playing our first D&D game there. And these guys, they brought over a blender and all the fixings, and they were making margaritas. And at the time, I used to drink pretty heavily. And at the time, I'm not a big fan of daiquiris and that sweet stuff. So I went to the kitchen and I got a glass about yay big, filled it full of ice and vodka, and I was sipping on it all night, so I didn't have to keep getting up. I wasn't like drinking the whole thing right quick. I was sipping on it. Well, I have a friend who was sitting just to my left, and I'm going to call her Mary because I don't want to. I don't want to embarrass anyone. Well, she sat down with her margarita, took a drink, and said, "Ooh, that's nasty. Let me have some of your water, Lynn." And she picks up the drink and just chugs it. Yeah, that was funny. She was pretty well catatonic the rest of the night. It was hilarious. She thought it was water. It was vodka. And another guy showed up a few years later. Same group of people, but a different player. And he had been out celebrating his birthday. And then he wanted to play D&D. And that's fine. Problem was, when he got to my house, he had already imbibed quite a bit, and he was still drinking. Toby was Toby didn't want to cooperate with anyone. He kept trying to play other people's characters and use their dice. He kept complaining, he couldn't find his spells because the character he picked up wasn't a spellcaster. It was a fighter and didn't have any spells. He couldn't find his spells because he was using the wrong character. He complained that somebody else had been writing on his character sheet. And I kept saying, nobody's been writing on a character sheet. That's not yours. That's this person's, And he insisted that was his character. And then he complained that somebody else had painted his dice. I said, well, those aren't your dice. These are your dice over here. And he kept arguing and arguing. And finally, he passed out. And he passed out right on the map. And Toby was a fat guy, bigger than I am. And that's saying something. I'm a big fat guy. He passed out on the table, on the map, and we couldn't move him. Nobody, there was 5 of us there, and together we couldn't move him. We called the game and left him there. What else could we do? Yeah, Drunken Dragons does not go well. If you're going to drink, limit yourself. And I don't recommend drinking at all when you play, but if you're going to, make sure and limit yourself. You want to be able to make good decisions, because later on you don't want to have to come back and say, why did my character lose all of his stuff? You gave it away, or you lost it, or this happened, or that happened. I don't remember. It's not my fault. If you're going to drink, practice moderation in anything. Especially in a game where you got to use the old noggin, You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.